The word pirate today instantly evokes vivid images. The black flag with skull and crossbones, bearded men brandishing cutlasses, mysterious chests filled with gold, and barrels of rum. Hollywood, the novels of Robert Louis Stevenson, and countless legends have created a romantic vision of sea robbers. Yet behind this glamorous facade lies the real history of people who lived and died at sea, breaking the laws of empires but at the same time building their own codes, order, and traditions. The history of piracy is the history of humanity's thirst for freedom, adventure, and defiance of established systems. Pirates were criminals, mercenaries, traders, and even political actors in the global trade of the 17th and 18th centuries. To understand their world, one must examine everything, from the origin of their names and nicknames to their brotherhoods, from daily work to myths that still shape our imagination. Origins of pirate names and nicknames. One of the most striking traits of pirate culture was the tradition of nicknames. Unlike the official navies, where rank and surname were everything, in the pirate world a person was defined by charisma, memory, and reputation. Edward Teach became Blackbeard because of his thick, dark beard that covered half his face. According to eyewitnesses, he would weave slow-burning fuses into it during battle so that smoke and sparks surrounded his head, creating a terrifying demonic image. John Rackham earned the name Calico Jack, simply because he favored brightly colored calico shirts. The female pirates Anne Bonny and Mary Red needed no nicknames. Their very presence among men in such a brutal environment was legendary. In North Africa, the Ottoman corsair brothers Orush and Hayreddin became known in Europe as Barbarossa, meaning Redbeard in Italian. Nicknames often reflected appearance, manner of dress, or character. In a world where each day could be the last, a nickname preserved one's identity better than family name or noble title. What pirates did. The common stereotype says pirates did nothing but plunder treasure ships and bury gold. In reality, their activities were more diverse. The primary source of wealth came from raiding merchant vessels, especially the heavily laden Spanish and English ships that carried sugar, tobacco, rum, silver, and gold from the Americas. Some pirates participated in the slave trade, capturing and selling enslaved people, an undeniably dark and brutal page in pirate history. Many engaged in smuggling and black market commerce, selling stolen goods or trading weapons and contraband. Another important role was privateering. A privateer was essentially a legalized pirate, carrying a letter of marque from a monarch or governor authorizing attacks on enemy nations. To Spain, such men were criminals, but to England they were heroes serving national interests. Outside raids, pirates had to survive like any other seafarers. They fished, hunted, repaired ships, built tools, and relied on their skills as carpenters, blacksmiths, and rope makers. The romantic image of pirates. The romanticized image of pirates predates Hollywood. As early as the 17th and 18th centuries, memoirists and travel writers embellished tales of daring sea raiders, portraying them as symbols of adventure and freedom. In 1678, Alexander Exquemelin, a former buccaneer, published The Buccaneers of America, a collection of pirate biographies that mixed fact with legend. Translations and retellings of his work spread myths quickly. In the 19th century, adventure literature cemented the myth. Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island introduced the world to parrots, treasure maps marked with an X, and chests buried on desert islands. In reality, pirates rarely buried treasure. It was far too risky. Most loot was spent quickly on food, drink, clothes, and entertainment in port towns. Cinema of the 20th and 21st centuries turned pirates into permanent icons of adventure, from Raphael Sabatini's Captain Blood to Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. The story of Henry Morgan. A single story illustrates both brutality and cunning. In 1668, the Welsh privateer Henry Morgan led a raid on the Panamanian city of Portobello. Instead of attacking the fortress directly, he took hostages from a local monastery and forced them to march in front of his men as living shields. The Spanish garrison hesitated to fire, and the city fell. Morgan became famous not only for the immense booty, but also for his audacity. Later, rather than being punished, he was knighted and eventually appointed governor of Jamaica. His career shows the ambiguous nature of piracy. Outlaw to one nation, useful agent to another. Brotherhood and the Pirate Code. Despite the image of lawlessness, pirate crews lived under strict codes. These rules were agreed upon by the whole crew and signed before voyages. Captains were chosen by vote and could be deposed if they failed or became tyrannical. Spoils were divided fairly. The captain received slightly more than a common sailor, but the difference was small compared to the rigid hierarchies of navies. Crew members received compensation for injuries, an early form of insurance. So much for a lost eye, more for a lost leg. Fighting among crew was often forbidden. Gambling and excessive drunkenness were controlled. The goal was order, not chaos. Many historians see these practices as early experiments in democratic organization. Who became pirates? People did not usually start life as pirates. They were made by circumstances. Many were former sailors fleeing brutal discipline aboard naval or merchant ships. Others were impoverished peasants who saw no opportunity on land. Escaped convicts and freed slaves joined, finding freedom at sea. Adventurers seeking quick riches or simply craving excitement were also common. Pirate ships were melting pots of languages, races, and backgrounds. Unlike the rigid class divisions of Europe, a man's worth aboard was measured by skill and courage. Pirate flags. Flags were psychological weapons. The skull-and-crossbones, known as the Jolly Roger, became iconic, but it was only one of many. A black background symbolized death. Red meant, no quarter will be given. Some flags showed hourglasses, warning that time was running out. Blackbeard's flag depicted a devil holding a spear toward a bleeding heart. When such banners appeared on the horizon, many merchant captains surrendered without a fight. Eye patches. Myth and reality. The pirate with a black eye patch is more myth than truth. Some did wear patches after losing an eye, but it was not a universal trait. A modern theory suggests patches were used to keep one eye adjusted to darkness for quick movement below decks. While intriguing, there is little historical evidence. The eye patch became popular through literature and film rather than widespread practice. Where pirates lived. Piracy thrived in regions where trade routes crossed and authorities were weak. The Caribbean was the heart of the so-called Golden Age of piracy, with bases on Tortuga, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. In the Mediterranean, Barbary corsairs operated from Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli. In the Indian Ocean, Madagascar became a safe haven for those attacking ships bound for India and China. Even the Viking raiders of the northern seas can be seen as pirates of their own age. These hideouts were more than dens of thieves. They were communities where men of many nations lived together under pirate law. Daily life. Life at sea was far from the glamorous image. Food consisted mainly of salted meat, biscuits, beans, and rum. Water spoiled quickly and was mixed with alcohol. Disease was rampant, especially scurvy caused by lack of vitamin C. Hygiene was poor, with rats, lice, and cramped quarters. Yet compared to the Navy, pirates lived with more dignity. They had a voice in decisions, the chance for wealth, and the freedom to reject abusive officers. Entertainment came from music, dancing, gambling, and storytelling, which helped relieve the monotony and danger of life at sea. Notorious pirates and their deeds. Captain William Kidd began as a privateer with royal license, but his crew pushed him toward piracy. The legend of his buried treasure endures, though historians believe it was largely myth. Still, discoveries of wreckage off Madagascar keep the stories alive. Edward Teach, Blackbeard, epitomized terror. In 1718, he was finally killed after a ferocious battle with English naval forces in North Carolina. Contemporary accounts say he sustained over 20 wounds before dying, reinforcing his legend as nearly superhuman. Anne Bonny and Mary Red defied convention by fighting openly alongside men. When their ship was captured and most of the male crew hid below deck, the two women fought fiercely on the deck. After capture, Bonnie scornfully told her lover, Calico Jack Rackham, "Had you fought like a man, you need not have been hanged like a dog."
If you found this interesting, leave a like. It helps the video reach more people and motivates me to create even more stories like this. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next journey into the past. It's only going to get darker, grittier, and more real. Thanks for watching.